Chapter 89. Different Plans. Hinata is taking a break at a certain location, one day's trip away from the Monster Country Tempest, and then the last meeting had commenced. Judging from the situation, the opponents probably aren't battle ready, and they are waiting for a reply. However, this is a group of monsters she cannot afford to be careless. More than anything, even in a battle that will result in a complete victory, to reduce sacrifices even by a little is Hinata's fighting style. Resorting to anything, even cowardly tricks, this is the natural thought patterns of monsters when fighting. According to the church's doctrine, monsters must be killed without sympathy for them. Everyone was affirmed about that. Naturally, the knights weren't happy about this. Winning is a certainty. However, they also understand that should they lose, this will become a threat to human society. It's precisely because they can't lose. They believe that this must be achieved through any means necessary. In this battle, the enemy's kingdom is too large to cover it in a barrier. Thus, through the use of decoys, they wanted to lure the enemy's main attackers out to the battlefield. However, if it arouses suspicion, this plan will be jeopardized. Originally, Hinata proposed a plan to send forth a messenger, but this was opposed by the Holy Knights and dismissed. Firstly, even though there is only 100 of them, each Holy Knight can match 1,000 men. Amongst them, 15 individuals consisting of the captains and their 2 vice-captains of the 5 squadrons all desire the title of the strongest Holy Knight. Their influence has made a clear distinction between them and the others. This time, the plan is for 5 captains, their 2 vice-captains, as well as 5 escorts to form a cubic barrier. Measures are taken for the worst-case scenario. 3 captains will form a triangular barrier, and the effects will still show. For that purpose, instead of a cube, a pentagonal barrier will be activated instead. Even if the enemy has taken measures and managed to interfere with the erection of the barrier, the location where the barrier will be erected can simply be changed. The main fighting force will now have 40 less combatants, but in order to neutralize the battalion lured into the barrier, this is the best method. The plan is simple. The remaining 60 will be used as decoys to lure the enemy into the strategic location. The fighting spirits of the Holy Knights are sufficient. After all, the enemy this time are merely evolved orcs and goblins. For some, they are foes already encountered numerous times in the past and have already lost the ability to feel fear. Amongst them, there are also evolved lizard men and evolved ogres. Anyone aside from the main forces will probably not be able to match their strength. What they should be wary of is the existence of the archdemon. While Hinata, whom they worship, slays the enemy demon lord, they must hold back the other monsters to make sure they don't interfere. Their biggest obstacle here is believed to be the archdemon. However, they encourage themselves. There's nothing to be afraid of. After all, they're wearing spirit armor. The spirit they contracted with made the materialized armor easily adjustable, called Holy Mail. Hinata is also wearing it. Albeit inferior to true Holy Mail, it is still better than average equipment. Hardly being able to feel its weight, it's a superior kind of armor that feels as light as feathers. The weapons they wielded are also articles used to vanquish evil, a weapon that can nullify resistances and deal true damage. Yuka, pure damage for you, the pliers. It is rare to require this much power in a single battle. The equipment used were so powerful to the extent when subduing an arch-dragon, 10 people with such equipment is sufficient. It could be compared to a country's army of 10,000 elite soldiers, but compared to the monsters, they can't hope to make a comparison. The Holy Knights were scattered in various places, but all the knights that could be contacted with were gathered. For the Holy Knights, this was one subjugation war they could not possibly lose. Hinata looked at the knights while in thought. Must we really fight this battle? Usually, she harbors no doubt about decisions made till now. Although she had already decided this in the Holy Capital, a silver of doubt had sprung forth. It was her first time experiencing this. Firstly and foremost, the predicted outcome of the battle. The predicted results seemed too good, too convenient. The forces on this side are few in number. In an open spacious field, this would prove to be inconvenient. On the contrary, the enemy can easily make use the vast terrain, making escape difficult. On the contrary, the terrain is simply too convenient. However, to predict all this would simply be impossible. It feels as if she was dancing on the palm of someone's hand, but she dismissed it as she's probably thinking too much. To begin with, the opponent had thought that Hinata was staying in the Holy Kingdom rebellious. Yet, they had taken no measures against this. The existence of teleport gates are a secret. They even conducted the practices at the wilderness around the outskirts of the rebellious kingdom, just in case. T and note, yeah, Hinata, hate to break it to you, but I'm pretty sure the demon lords and the dwarves had already been using teleport gates for quite some time now. There's no questioning this. Her whereabouts had been found out. She had confidence in her actions, as she did them carefully and cautiously. But even so, if she trusted her intuition, this is a dangerous place to be at. Even though this is an irrational way to think, it can't be dismissed. Thus, Hinata stopped thinking and opened her mouth. Attention! Hearing this, the Holy Knights stopped talking and focused on Hinata. Hinata looked at each and every one of their faces and said, I'm going to give you your commands now. Decoy team, it's likely the predicted battlefield location is a trap. By chance, any disturbance to the activation of the barrier is a disadvantage. However, we will deliberately go along with the flow of the opponent's strategy. We will deploy the barrier in order not to arouse suspicion in the enemy. However, there will be no captains, and the vice captains will take their place. The captain and the escorts will defend the vice captains with their life on the line. However, there's no need to think of anything else other than the maintenance of the barrier. Acts of hostility in order to protect the barrier will be permitted. It will be great if we could fight as planned, but if we are to be scattered due to a preemptive strike, fight back at full force. I will say this again, don't stubbornly try to put up the barrier. Everyone's survival is top priority. Depending on the assailants, permission to stop maintaining the barrier and join the fight is granted. For the barrier group, take into consideration that the enemies will be scattered. Central decoy troops, you guys, really on the assistance of the barrier. Rely on the assistance of the barrier and don't overconfident try to take on a surprise attack head-on out of pride. Lure the opponent towards the playing field where we will claim victory. Take into consideration that your own powers may end up annihilating your comrades. In addition, while you guys act as the decoy, I will go slay the enemy general. Do not ever be careless. Take into consideration that there will be no reinforcements, then act. Yuka, that's one long speech. She trusted her instincts and gave out the orders. Either way, this is their only fighting force. Any other battle forces apart from this one will only end up as a hindrance. The troops conducted another meeting to review the elaborate maneuvers after certifying the role of each holy knight. Any signs of cockiness had instantly disappeared from their eyes. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. It has been 2 weeks since the scheduled meeting with Hinata. If it's Hinata, we thought a surprise attack might be a good idea. She even dutifully let out a fireball explosion in the sky to let us know. She's either extremely confident or an complete idiot. Well, whatever. Here we will proceed as planned. I thought of this, and even though I still had time before the battle, I can't understand what's what. My head somehow feels, what is going on? Why is this happening? I am at a loss for words at the spectacle before me. This is what happened. The note, don't ask us what this chaos is all about, not even we're 100% certain as well. As expected, 60 Holy Knights came to attack. This is good. This is because it's all going according to plan. However, if they've come to attack us, it means they had a specific battlefield. Moreover, to dig this tunnel into the open field took much effort and hardship, but there was a slight complication. I virtually declared that I will set a trap here, and yet they went and triggered it. The opponent might also have a trap here, and if we take the bait, things would get painful. Mentally, I'm sorry, Vildora. It's your turn or it might not be. I apologized and moved to another location. The note, please check who is what is Suman. Yuka. Many others and I laughed so hard at this. Silly bear. The note, I see my clown son gave me a Japanese lesson now. Wait, whom are you referring to when you said many others? The place where Hinata and I will face each other. This is why a battle has commenced on the side. The first notable thing was the situation where the Yumigairi clashed with the Holy Knights. Baka na, our attacks aren't effective against them. Baka na, impossible. But in a very intense and dramatic way. Excuse me. They aren't even undead. What is happening? The Holy Knight spoke in surprise. Instead of replying with knife in hand, the soldiers of Yumigairi swiftly wounded the Holy Knights. It appears they used their own body as the decoy in order to deal a blow to the Holy Knights. Using their immortality to fight, it's looking impressive so far. And just like this, the Holy Knights braced themselves as they witnessed what they believed to be a one-sided development game. However, the Holy Knights collapsed in less than 3 minutes. It is as I expected. The Yumigairi were able to corner them in just 3 minutes. Due to the major difference in potential, it's impossible to think that the Immortals will lose. The results were that the Yumigairi resurrected intact, and the Paladins had fallen. The Wolf Riders swiftly collected the fallen Holy Knights, binding their shadows and sealing off their movement. Hehe, Holy Knight's son, from the moment you attacked us, it was already our win. In addition, this knife is coated with a powerful sleeping drug. Or did you previously prepare an antidote? You know, it's not going to resist anything other than poison, right? Thus, the lower-ranked soldiers explained with a smug look. Seriously, the Holy Knights chuckled in response for their preaching, and my mind had fallen into a state of confusion. Of course, that wasn't the only situation in the war. In this clever scheme, only the Yumigari had such an effect on the opponent. The subsequent groups attacked without being careless and without even receiving a single blow. Even so, the enemy was donning shining armor to begin with. Almost covering their entire body, hurting them was difficult. It was precisely because they lowered their guard after delivering the fatal blow that the Yumigari were able to put a scratch on them. However, the dozen individuals who managed to leave the battlefield with a scratch evaluated this. To fight the Holy Knights, the Trinity formation was used to support them. The Yomegairi as the main, the Hiryu and Wolf Riders in turn as support. By cooperating in perfect formation via communicating with thought transmission, they were in par with the Holy Knights. They were able to greatly reduce the enemy numbers at first because they had set the foundation and were able to cooperate well. Or rather, was there such a strategy? While I was having my duel with Hinata, isn't the fighting location rather isolated? While I was thinking this, Sean sent a signal. Diablo, who was hovering in the air on cue, made a wicked smile and nodded. Kufufu, leave it to me. However, please take responsibility, Sean-san. Parting with such words, he flew away happily. Huh? Were you not supposed to be monitoring from above? About that gleeful smile earlier, the Holy Knight Squadron must have something in mind. Perhaps they were planning to put up a barrier. Thanks to the monitoring network via Zoe's shadows, linked with Thought Link, a wide range of information regarding the situation of the war is flowing in. That's why there was no need for the Diablo to move anywhere. While I was thinking about this, Sean jerked her chin up in a kind of cute yet flirtatious motion. Earlier, Gobta and Gabil looked at each other. It feels like this is slightly different from what was discussed during the strategy meeting. What? That's why I'm not sure why, but I have the feeling it was supposed to be fighting someone stronger. Gobta and Gabil questioned this. Right, I already thought something was amiss. I'm glad I am not wrong. Even so, are you guys idiots? Work quickly and do as you're told, or do you want me to test my new masterpiece on you? I was convinced, yet that's what Sean thought. No, I might not be convinced. I understand. You wanted to go all out anyway. Of course, I'll pass on the dishes. Then get a move on, Gabil-san. If you don't go over, I'm going to get you. And he went away in a hurry. No, you guys aren't wrong. But it's strange for some reason. Even with Gupta and Gabil, the flow of the battle had taken a turn for the worse. Then, while those two were joined together, Zoe and his five subordinates started to make their move. They matched the number of the small Holy Knight squadron of 8 individuals perfectly. Apparently, the 8 of them had decided to suppress the opposing small squadron. Wait, huh? Sean, since when did you separated? It wasn't this kind of strategy. Sean, I have reached the location. I'll become the opponent of this one squadron. Zoe's thought had just been transmitted. Ah, is that so? Zoe has also been convinced. Well, Soka and company has already returned and will be going to support Gabriel. Wasn't what I thought at the time. Yuka, up to this point, I just feel like a blind kid playing football. What is going on anymore? Smoggy, I think Zoe's group is attacking the barrier erecting team. Thus, they split into 3 directions, but the enemy still had 2 forces left. I alone would be able to do this. I am willing to do it. I have to say it. Now then, where are the rest of the troops? My lord, please give me permission to commence attack. Ranga, you're up. Yes, my body feels light. I want to have a light exercise after waking up. I wonder what's with that. It's dangerous to let this guy loose. It seems this is what my risk prediction notified me. Well, it's probably not me who's going to be in danger, but my enemies. Oh, okay, but don't be too reckless. I'd prefer if you don't kill them. Leave it to me. Ranga let out a happy howl and gleefully ran off. Now I can only pray for the safety of the Holy Knights. Good luck. Though the fact I cheered for the enemy is a secret, Sean looked at them with satisfaction and licked her lips. I glanced at the pink tip of her tongue, but there was something suspicious about that wetness. Yuka, this is really turning into an arrow novel. Smoggy, I'll last for a bottle perhaps. She turned around and faced me. Now then, Rimuru-sama, I'm be going on ahead. Nodding as hard as possible, she jumps out with great force, using both feet, and flew at the momentum as if she was trying to pierce the heavens. Good luck. What? It's already been a series of events now. The reason my head is going crazy. I wonder, will I ever know? Yuka, I'm literally banging my head against the table at this point. Smoggy, make sure to fix it afterwards, okay? Oh, and there's a slightly used ice block to cool down your head afterwards in the fridge. One way or another, the battle plan seems to be largely revised. Indeed, a 1 versus 1 situation with Hinata was brought about as intended. The environment surrounding the area was made so that no one can interfere with the fight. Even so, I thought I didn't plan for it to become like this. Let's change my viewpoint for a moment. Even so, I probably had the feeling to schedule things to turn out like this from the start. I also changed my emotions. The situation is ideal. There is no problem. I said that to myself. I went to meet Hinata. Hinata looked like she had something to say, but she had a bitter look on her face. Suddenly, she burst into laughter, for she had made a breakthrough. Is that so? Yes, that's right, in the end. I'm probably thinking too much. Am I correct? Am I wrong? Let's settle this with the most ancient way. Will you accept this? Single combat? Slime Demon Lord. No, Rimuru. I admit this. At this point, petty tricks are pointless. The tactics that I had planned vigilantly all wasted. This is the first time I feel like laughing at my own powerlessness. Based on the situation, we're already gradually losing, meaning that this fight here is probably also planned by you. But if you want me to accept your thoughts, show me and beat me. If you triumph over me, I'll listen to what you have to say. Not just you, I will believe that monsters and humans can come to a mutual understanding. Of course, if you feel like I still can't receive your thoughts, I'll just die fighting to the bitter end. Without a hint of confusion in her eyes, Hinata stared at me. Her facial expression, losing all acrimony, made her look younger than she actually is. No, based on look. Alone, she looked like a high school student compared to the previous Hinata, who was like a grown-up. This Hinata gives off a more natural feeling. Throwing away everything that she shouldered, she simply wanted to challenge me. It is as she said, based on the situation, I had already won. However, unlike what she thinks, there is still a reason for me to fight her. This is a situation I desired. There is no reason for me to refuse. I'm doing this in order to open her eyes. Okay, I accept your challenge. I'll make you open your eyes. At that moment, a promise was exchanged between the two. The presence or the absence of the promise made no difference. Words are no longer necessary. The fight between the two signaled the beginning of the end. End of chapter 89.